Okay, now we're done with the torch, so close the oxygen tank valve clockwise and close the acetylene tank valve. Now, we need to cut it to the right length. On the drawing there are two length dimensions. One is to the groove, 1.125 plus or minus 5 thousandths. That's already done. We want the overall length, 1.225 plus or minus 10. Okay, so the easiest way to do this, if you take the dial caliper, if we take the dial caliper and we open it, if you look at the jaw here, there's 1 inch. Okay, bring the needle around to 0. The 0 is supposed to be upright, but this has gotten dirty and it jumped a tooth, but it still works fine. Okay, so there's 1 inch. We want 1.225. So there's another rotation is 1.1, and I can also look over here. 1.2, 1.210, 220, 225. And then I can use this little screw up here to lock it in place so it doesn't move. Okay, now, these inside measuring jaws, if I set one of them on the underside of the head, bring the other one up, I can scribe a little line. It'll be small, but I can scribe a little line on my part. Now I've got a mark I can see for my cut. Okay, so now we're going to grab the end that we're going to throw away, that we're going to cut off. Do not grab the head. So you grab just the tip of it, find your mark, put your mark upward, and then just grab the very end of it. In the vise. Now I'm going to take the hacksaw, and I want to throw away the part to the right of the mark, so I'm going to put the hacksaw blade just to the right of my mark. Don't put it right on the mark, you'll end up too short. And cut it off. Be careful, don't let the hacksaw jump out of the mark. We'll recycle that little piece of scrap. Okay, now I can see my line. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up that rough end on the belt sanding right here. I'm going to hold it straight at the belt and spin it as I go. It's very difficult to hold it exactly perpendicular to the belt, so if you don't spin it and you just put it against the belt, you're going to end up with an angle on the end of it. If you spin it, it'll have a slight little crown, but it's usually not really even noticeable. So what I want to do is I want to get rid of the saw marks and get a nice clean end so I can get a measurement. So now unlock the caliper, and what you do is you bring this tail out, put the tip of the tail on the underside of the head, and then pull the body of the caliper down until it touches the end of the shank, and then read it. Okay, we're at 1.265. I want 1.225. Okay, so we're about 0.04 inches, 40 thousandths oversized. You got to take into account how new the belt is. A brand new belt is very hungry. It takes off metal really fast. This one's been on here a little while. It's a little worn, so it takes a little bit longer. The part's going to get warm quick, so you're going to have to cool it off in your water cup. So, best to take a little bit and then measure. Depending on the belt, it may come off really quick. Okay, 1.240. 15 thousandths to go. $1.230. Oh, sorry, 1.220. Make sure everything's clean, because dirt and particles will affect your measurement. 1.222. Okay, that's fine. We're within tolerance. The last thing to do is there's a little chamfer called out on the end. Now, scale-wise on the drawing, it's drawn probably about 30 or 40 thousandths, but it says 45 degree by 10 thousandths chamfer. 10 thousandths is quite small. I don't know if you can see the gap there. That's 10 thousandths. 2.5 times the thickness of one of your hairs. So very, very delicately turn it at a 45 degree angle and come up against the belt and spin it. I'm barely touching the belt. Okay? You can just barely see a little tiny chamfer on the end of it. It should be just barely visible. That's really all you need. Okay? Now the last thing, if you drag your fingernail across that groove, you'll feel a burr around the groove. Don't try to chamfer the groove. It's too small. Put the part parallel to the belt, okay? Back it up with your fingernails and just lightly touch it against the belt as you spin it. As soon as you've shined up the area around that groove, you should be done. You're just going to flatten the burr straight down. And that is a completed plunger pin.